Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Tonight we're back here with Overly Sarcastic Productions. Tonight we got a Fables and Folktale on the Shippeitaro. Guessing this is Japan or China, I don't know. Never heard of the Shippeitaro. What's up? Well, we're about to learn more, so let's see what's up with this Taro. So be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. See what the fable is.
Have you ever had that thought? You know, man, I would thrive so much in crisis. You know, the only problem is the world is all safe and simple and stuff. But if circumstances just conspired to put me in an action hero situation, I would do great. I bet if I was trekking across a beautiful, suspiciously New Zealandy landscape with a crew of true companions on a perilous quest, I'd have a much easier time getting them into our dang weekly board game nights. Archaeology would be so much more fun if it actually involved dodging traps and punching Nazis on moving tanks. I'd kick ass at that. I hate calling my doctor and my bank because the true test of my bravery would be using kung fu to fight a crew of ne'er-do-wells in an exciting action set piece on top of a moving train. Now, of course, that little voice is not to be trusted because it belongs to your inner storyteller, the part of you that once upon a time played sword fights or dragon slaying or Star Wars on the playground before eventually maturing into game nights, improv comedy, theater, writing, or really any other creative outlet for that beautiful little what-if instinct. It's a vital part of you, but it's not always the best at reading the room or accepting that the real world does not operate on the logic of a story. So it's kind of funny to encounter a fantastical folktale where the protagonist has the exact same struggle. Today's story is a Japanese tale first documented in English in the late 1800s by Mrs. T.H. James in a children's picture book, and then later featured in Andrew Lang's The Violet Fairy Book in 1901, one of several compilations of folktales he collected from around the world. However, unlike in the similar case of Tokoyo and the Sea Monster, the story of Shippeitaro is also documented in Japan, and in fact has several different localized versions, meaning this story was definitely not made up by some proto-weeb in 1800s Europe, which is a relief. You always gotta check these things. Anyway, the story of Shippeitaro begins with a nameless young man leaving his village in search of fame and adventure, this just being the way things were done back in folklore Japan. But he finds himself almost quixotically frustrated at the lack of adventure opportunities. Despite living in a world chock-a with yokai, he can find no monsters to slay, no damsels to rescue, and overall nothing that would allow him to finally display his true heroic potential. After all, it's hard to be a hero in a world with no easy villains. But his luck changes one day when he reaches the foothills of an extremely scary-looking mountain that practically screams, "Here there be plot hooks," and he starts hiking his way up through dense underbrush and shadowy trees. Unfortunately, the mountain of plot hooks turns out to be a huge pain in the ass, and he fails to find a way out of the forest before nightfall, only managing to locate a large stone shrine which he takes shelter in for the night. But at midnight, a sudden horrible sound wakes him, and he sees that outside the shrine are a truly staggering number of cats, which is probably a little disheartening if you're on the hunt for extremely dramatic adventure. But these folkloric cats are not the cute and cuddly kind. Japanese folklore has a habit of highlighting the sinister and untrustworthy nature of the cat, and this tale is no exception. These cats are partying up a storm under the light of the full moon, dancing and caterwauling and overall behaving in a very unnerving manner. As the young man watches, he begins to make out words in the wailing. "Don't tell Shippeitaro. Don't tell him we've been partying it up on this mountain. It'd be just awful if our one weakness was exploited. Don't you do it. Don't nobody do it." Anyway, this goes on for a while until the midnight hour is officially over and the cats all vanish. The young man officially decides that that's a tomorrow problem and goes back to sleep. The next morning, he wakes up quite hungry and a bit worn out, but thanks to the morning light, he spots a footpath he'd previously overlooked that leads him to a small village. But before he can get anything to eat, he's distracted by the sound of an extremely unhappy woman screaming and crying for help. Alarmed, he asks the apparently indifferent townsfolk what the heck is going on, and they sadly inform him that he's arrived on the occasion of an annual sacrifice to the spirit of the mountain. The unfortunate girl was selected by lot and will be sealed in a cask and placed in the very shrine the young man sheltered in for the spirit of the mountain to come and consume her. This is obviously very troubling for the young man to hear, though it does provide some context for why those cats were so jazzed. But then he remembers something and asks the locals who or what is a Shippeitaro. Confused by the apparent non sequitur in such a grim conversation, they say that Shippeitaro is the name of the dog that belongs to the local lord. The young man jets off in that direction, leaving the townspeople rather baffled, and before long he arrives at the lord's estate and frantically asks if he can borrow his dog. The lord is unsurprisingly rather confused and suspicious of this request, but the young man insists that it's a matter of life and death and it'll only be for one day, he promises. The lord reluctantly agrees, and the young man takes Shippeitaro back to the village. He tells the sacrificial girl's parents to hide her in the closet for the night and secretly stows Shippeitaro in the sacrificial cask in her place. Then he heads back up the mountain and hides in the shrine until the cask is brought up, and then he and Shippeitaro wait for the plot to come and find them. At midnight, under the full moon, afternoon, the cats reappear, this time accompanied by a huge black cat that is clearly Mondo Supernatural and evidently their leader. The spirit of the mountain saunters up to the cask, pops the lock, and prepares to devour the girl inside, only to be absolutely demolished when Shippeitaro pops out and glomps him instead. The young man seizes his chance and springs out, decapitating the demonic cat in one swing of his hitherto useless sword. The rest of the nightmare cats freak out and scatter with a little encouragement from Shippeitaro and the sword, and Shippeitaro and the young man return to the village at sunrise with the good news. The heroic goodest of boys is returned to his master and honored with an annual feast in celebration of them not having to do any more blood sacrifices, and the young man is also there. Hey, sometimes heroism is less about proving one's might and slaying the dragon and more about finding the right tool for the right job. And sometimes the right tool happens to be just the cutest little guy. Oh, yes you are. Memory.
Nice. Oh, Kaboyo. Huh. Nice. Yeah, guess that makes sense. Guess in Japan they trust dogs more than cats. Apparently. Oof. Actually, huh. Who'd have guessed? Whoops. I thought Shippeitaro was one of the cat demon, but nope. Good dog. Anyway, let me know what you guys think of the story of Shippeitaro. Let it be known. Heroes come in the most unexpected places. Who knew? Anyway, till next time, like, subscribe for more. See ya!